All right, so today is actually even easier than yesterday. I know that might, for some, be a little bit hard to believe, but today is pretty easy. So today we are going to be writing equations of exponential functions. So your actual equations your answers will be equations. So an exponential function, I don't have a lot of room for writing here, but your equations of these exponential functions are going to be y equals some number times b to the x. That's what you're going to be doing. So these values actually, like you find from either tables or coordinates, a is your initial value. So your initial value can be found, it's going to be the y value when x equals 0. So it's the y value when x equals 0. That's the number that you're going to use for a. B is going to be your pattern for the y values. Now the pattern, though, you have to be careful. The pattern must be multiplication. So anytime we're looking at these, if it's going down, we have to figure out what it's being multiplied by to get from one number to the next. So these are a couple things we just have to keep in mind. I don't have a ton of examples, which is kind of good for you. So we take a look at this A here. We have this table, and in order to write an exponential function, we need to find A and B. A is the initial value when, it's the y value when x is 0. So x is 0, my initial value is going to be 4. So I'm going to plug a 4 in for A. B, I'm going to take a look at my y values and figure out the pattern using multiplication. Well, to go from 4 to 12, you would multiply by 3. To go from 12 to 36, you'd multiply by 3, and so on and so on. So the pattern is multiply by 3. So then my equation is going to be y equals A, which is 4, parentheses, B to the x. And that's it. That's it, you guys. Today's a kind of a good, easy day for you. So then for this exponential function, so again, we need an A and a B. A is going to be the y value when x is 0, or on a graph, it's going to be your y-intercept. So our y-intercept is at 128 on the y-axis. Now B, you have to take a look at your y values. How do you get from 128 to 64, 64 to 32, 32 to 8, 8 to 4? Well, I find it a little bit easier kind of looking down here. To go from 32 to 8, I would divide by 4. And then to go from 8 to 4, wait a minute. Oh, they skipped 3. Oh, 3 is 16. 32 to 16, never mind. To go from 32 to 16, you would divide by 2. To go from 16 to 8, you would divide by 2. I don't know why they put this one over there. That's really confusing, but you have to go in order. 64 to 32, divide by 2. 32 to 16, divide by 2. 16 to 8, divide by 2. 8 to 4, you would be dividing by 2. But you can't put your pattern as divide by 2. Your pattern has to be using multiplication. So if your pattern is dividing by 2, that is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So if you are dividing to get from one to the other, and like in this case is divide by 2, put a 1 over it and create your fraction for your B. So now this equation is y equals 128 and then B to the x. That's it. Let's take a look at another just because we have time. And for those who already get it, you can turn this off and go work on your assignment. So for number 5, again, we need to know our A and our B. A is the y value when x is 0, so A is 3. Then how do you get from one y value to the next? To go from 3 to 12, you multiply by 4. To go from 12 to 48, you multiply by 4, multiply by 4. We're multiplying, so that actually is our B value. So our equation is y equals A times B to the x. So much easier than yesterday, right? And then for number 6, again, we need to know our A and our B. A is the y value. It's a big number. Our y value when the x is 0. Then we have 2,187, 729, 243, 81, 27. And then what if I told you that this continued on to 5, 9, and then 6, 3? So how do you get from 27 to 9? How do you get from 9 to 3? I feel like it's a little bit easier at this point to figure out what the pattern is. And the pattern that you're doing, you are dividing by 3. But remember, when you write your B, if you're dividing, you put a 1 over it, and that's what your B is. So now our equation is y equals a b to the x. All right, your assignment's just as short as this. It's kind of an easy peasy day. So head on over to GoFormative and try it out.